Hi, I'm Christy Cordingley, and this is my show, The Flare Up Show, and this special episode is produced in partnership with Clarissa Burt and In the Limelight Media. I originally created this show to advocate for myself through chronic illness, but today it's grown into a wellness show that's listened to all over the world. I love to practice well-being for the whole being. So if you're ready to rise, thrive, and elevate your life, stay tuned, enjoy the show, and thanks for listening. All right, welcome to the Flare Up Show. I am really excited because I have a beautiful lady all the way from Washington, D.C. with me today and special guest. I would love for you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, I already said where you live, what you're known for, what's your area of expertise?
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Avalaura Gaither. I am a celebrity life coach and intuitive consultant, Reiki master teacher, speaker. And so, really what I have been able to do for the last almost 18 years now is carve out a lane of really combining holistic wellness with traditional mental health. And it's been, I've had so much fun doing it because I just, it's necessary. Mental health definitely needs a remake. And it's just been my joy, just kind of the school of hard knocks, kind of figuring out what works, what doesn't work, kind of combining them all together and, allowing my clients to see like how they thrive.
Yes. I was actually watching a video of you where you shared that you studied and achieved your master's of social work. You actually had a vision of becoming a social worker to begin with.
Yep.
Can you share a little bit for us, maybe, because it starts sort of at the beginning of this journey? What was your experience as a social worker when you entered that field, and how did that bring you to where you are today, sort of into your healing work? So I think it's a really beautiful story of realizing your vision and how it just turned out so unexpectedly, but so wonderfully. So,
Very unexpected.
yes.
Very unexpected, but exactly how it was supposed to, right? Yeah, my goal, I thought I was going to be a therapist. That was the goal. And so I went to school. Got my bachelor's degree in psychology, my master's degree in social work from Howard University here in Washington, D.C. And I was really excited about that because I always knew that I wanted to be a therapist from when I was young, which is weird, right? Um, but when I finally finished, got my degree, ended up in the social work fields, it quickly became apparent to me that it was not for me. Um, it was very constricting. I felt like I had to follow all of these rules. I couldn't help people the way that I wanted to help them. And there were just a lot of unnecessary constraints. You know how we just make things harder than it needs to be. And that's just kind of what it felt like. And it felt like we were doing things that weren't necessarily for our clients' best interest, but were for the best interest of our bottom line. And that just did not sit well with me. I'm like, they're not paying me enough money to not really make a difference and not help people.
Yeah.
This is not going to work. And so I started feeling really depressed. I started feeling like, why am I here? And what
Mhm.
am I doing? And everything that I've worked so hard to get to now is nothing like I thought it was going to be. And I don't know what to do. And I sat in that space for a while. Um, until I really just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I didn't know who to talk to. So I'm a social worker. I'm over here helping all of these people and with their lives. And I didn't know who to turn to for help in my own life. And I finally just ended up confiding in a colleague because I just didn't know what else to do at that time. And she was like, Ava Laura, listen, I'm having a women's retreat. You should come on out. I think this will be really good for you. And I was like, look, fine, whatever. I'd never been in a women's retreat before, did not know what it was. Like now everybody's like, oh yeah, but then people weren't doing women's retreats. It's like, what is that? But if she had said, listen, let's go bungee jumping, let's go hang gliding, I'd have been like, okay, like if that's gonna help me, I'm down. At this point, I am down for whatever. And so I went, and it really ended up being the best thing that I could have done because, it just put me in a space of seeing myself clearly for the first time in however many months, how long I was going through that. And I just had a moment where I had really an emotional breakdown, and I'm just really honest about that. That's really what it was. I became very clear how unhappy I was. And I just found myself on my hands and knees praying to God. And I was like, you got to get me out of here. And I was just like crying, boo-hooing, just literally letting it all out. And I felt amazing when you just, you cry, you cleanse, and you're like, okay, you're finally being honest with yourself. Because I realized I was not being honest with myself. And I was really honest with myself of how unhappy and how trapped I felt. And it felt great until I realized that I still had to go back to work on Monday. Like nothing had really changed. Like
I've
I
changed
had this
them. Yeah.
epiphany, but my life circumstances were still the same. But I did. I went back to work, because I'm the social worker and I got to take care of my clients and I have a job to do and everybody else is more important than me. And that's really what it was. And then when I went back to work and my boss just called me into his office and he said, Avalaura, he was like, you're wonderful and it's been great having you, but I have to let you go. And I was just like, what? Like, what do you mean you have to let me? Not me. And so, ego was having a little bit of a fit, because I had never been fired from anything. I was certainly that person that whatever I set out to do, I did it. And so it was hard to imagine failure, right? Because being fired is failure. And then really what happened was spirit kicked in and was like, well, Ava Laura, like, why are you upset? Like you prayed for this. So you prayed for this, you're getting your wish. What are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big turning point for me. Like, okay, yeah, I did pray for this. Like, this is an answer prayer, even though this is not what I wanted. I didn't ask for this,
Yes.
but this is how it happened. And I had a choice to make if I was just going to continue going down the road of traditional social work. Because if anybody knows you have a master's degree in social work, you can always get a job. There's
They're
lots of
always
jobs
looking.
available. But it was like, am I going to do this or am I really just going to venture into the path of the unknown and really do what I'm here to do, really fulfill my purpose, whatever that looks like? And at that time, I didn't know what it looked like. I really didn't know what direction. I just knew that I was so unhappy and I couldn't continue down the path that I was going. And so I made that choice of going into the path of the unknown and taking what I call now my 6 month healing sabbatical, where I literally just took out time for myself and worked on myself. And that's when I became a Reiki master teacher. That's when I studied life coaching, hypnotherapy, like aromatherapy, like any healing arts I could get my hands on, I
Yep.
was in it. And at the end of that 6 months, that's when I opened up my business. And that was in November of 2005. So almost
20 years ago. Yeah, almost. I know.
long time, long time.
I know.
It's like, oh
I love that look on
gosh,
your
yeah.
face. I turned 50 next year and I'm like, 50, yay. Yeah.
I'm not that old though. Like I don't feel old.
No, not
But
at
it's been a long time.
all.
But it's been a beautiful journey. Like
It's a lot of life in there. Good stuff.
a
Yeah.
lot of life.
Yes. I love that. And it was just smooth sailing right from there, right? 2005, just all uphill.
No,
Oh.
it was not. No. Like never life is, right?
No.
But it's one of those things that I know that journey helped me to be the
Yes.
coach, the healer that I am. Because I know what it's like to have a vision and it's not smooth sailing. And you do all this work and you're like, why is this not working out for me? Right. And not giving up, really being consistent, being persistent, putting the work in and finally seeing the results, even though nothing happens the way you think it's going to happen.
Nope, careful the words that you speak. Yep. So to go back to, so you said you took the sabbatical and you learned all the healing, and now what you practice and what you teach your clients is something that you call soulful self-care. Can you share what
Yeah.
that is?
Yeah. Soulful self-care is really about you. And that is, it seems like, oh yeah, simple as me, but that's the hardest thing to learn, right? Like, if you think about it, like we go to school for years. I have a master's degree, right?
Yeah.
So I was in school, high school, those plus, 4 more years. So you're talking like 16 years, and none of that was studying me. And I am the biggest common denominator. I am the most important person. And I have taken no time to learn about who I am. Why am I here? What makes me shine? What are my superpowers, right? What is it that I've come here to do? And so soulful self-care is really doing that deep dive into understanding who you are. Because when you do that work, everything comes from that space.
Mhm.
Everything. When you know who you are, that makes everything in your life so much easier. A lot of the hard part is we're fighting ourselves, right?
Mhm.
We're out of flow, we're out of alignment because we really don't know who we are. We're just kind of going and doing the things that we've been told to do, even though it doesn't resonate with us, even though we don't really want to do it. But this is what my mother said. This is what my teacher said. This is what society tells us. And so we're fighting ourselves. And when you stop fighting yourself and you get to know yourself, that's when things really open up for you.
Yes, it's that first, it could be just denial, and I don't want to do that. That way seems hard to be me. But sometimes it's also the other way, what you mentioned, like with family and people that you love, wanting to be pleasant, wanting to, especially if you are an intuitive, empathetic person, you grow up understanding that you do affect the environment around you. So you want to keep it sort of status quo for other people. So stepping into yourself, though, can be something so much more beautiful than that, but it takes some courage
It takes a lot of courage.
and it takes
Yeah.
community too, right?
Yes.
So I find it what I love
Absolutely.
about your story is like that epiphany, even though it was individual, like it was your epiphany and it was your experience, you were in a place where you were it was a community, like it was a retreat of people around you. So
Mhm.
when we can create environments that allows people to just be and hear their own voice, that is so powerful because when we talk
Yes.
about self-actualization and our personal healing journeys and self-care, it sounds individualistic and some people could say it sounds selfish, but it's actually not because self and community need to work together for healing, don't they?
That's a great point. I talk about community a lot and the fact that, when you've been doing this work as long as I have, you start to see the markers of when someone is going to be successful versus when they're not going to be successful. And what are some of the common denominators? And the thing that I have seen with my clients who have been most successful is they have a supportive community.
Yes.
And I really, truly believe that so many people haven't healed, not because they don't care, not because they haven't tried to do the work, not because they haven't worked hard and done all these things. It's because they don't have community. They
Yeah.
don't have support. They're going at it alone. And nobody, and I don't care who you are, can be successful in this life alone. And so it's not just having community, but it's having a supportive community, because we all know people that have family, but your
Mhm.
family can be your biggest downfall, right? They can be the people who are your biggest detriments, right? I work with a lot of women who are on the cusp of divorce or considering. And one of the things that they realize is that who they chose to marry has been their biggest detriment to their success. So
Yes.
your community, having that right community, people who support you and love you, and even if they don't necessarily agree with what you're doing or they don't necessarily think is right, they think you should go a different way, that they'll support you and be there for you and not judge you and not say, "Oh, well, I told you so," when you don't necessarily get the results that you want, right? We all know those people. See,
Yes.
you didn't listen to me. I told you. And so yeah, the community is absolutely important. So yes, it's both. It's having the community, having people to support you when you need it, being able to ask for help, but then also having that time and space to be able to do your own personal work. That is something that you have to do on your own, but that doesn't mean that you don't get help in doing it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. People often ask, how do I know if this is the community or these are the people? And it takes time. First of all,
Yeah.
trust and things need to take time and consistency. That's not something that can be quick. I mean, we can have glimpses and glimmers over who feels
Mhm.
safe to us, but it has to come through behavior consistently and repair during conflict. But also, for me, often I look at the relationships in your life, and the ones that get healthier when you go through those periods of growth, those are the ones.
Mhm.
The ones that start
Yes.
to kind of crumble or fall apart, add stress to your growth, probably not the ones that you should
Yeah.
be relying on for support per se. It doesn't mean they're not valued in your life. Like, I was giggling when you said that because
Yeah.
I was a few years ago, there was some growth happening. And I was crying to my mom, who loves me to pieces, but is
Mhm.
definitely more of like, just pull the line, do your life, and right. So different thinking, visions, right, for life.
Yes.
And then she would always like hug me and just pat me on the back and go, "Oh, you're just a dreamer. What are you gonna do?" Like,
Mm,
"Oh,
listen,
I'm a dreamer."
sign me
Yeah.
up. I'm the dreamer too.
Yeah. Yes. But it's so funny because it was comfort, but also a little bit
Yeah, the
like,
shade, right? Like,
yep. I'm like, yeah, Mom, this is forever. Like, as long as you live,
yeah.
there'll be times you'll be cheering together and times you'll be like, oh Lord. Yeah. So,
And it's real. Like I think that, we talk a lot about like toxic relationships and things
yes,
like
that's
that
what I
now
was
and
thinking.
narcissism. That's like the whole big buzzword. And the reality is most people are not narcissists. And most people in your life are not necessarily toxic people, but
Okay.
they're toxic to your dreams.
Yes.
Know what I mean? They're toxic to your visions, and not because they don't love you, not because they don't care about you, not because they're not decent people. They just don't understand what you're doing. They can't relate, or they have their own traumas and their own pains, and they're like, "Well, how can you do that if I couldn't find a way to do it?" And so they're unconsciously limiting, stunting your growth because they don't understand. That doesn't make them bad people. It just means that they can't support you in your vision.
Yes. Yes. And that actually brings me to the next thing, one of my favorite sayings for you. Because like I've said, I've struggled a little bit in life too with being the concept of being, too much. I'm too sensitive, too loud.
Mhm.
I laugh too much. I'm too passionate. I dream too much. I have too big of a body. And many people struggle with that, like sort of
Yeah.
but living life out loud is liberating, but also triggering, right? Because you come up against your own limiting beliefs and experiences and other people's
Yeah.
experiences. But your mantra, girl, live your fucking life, if I can say it just like that,
Yes.
is amazing. So when we decide to do that and just go live our fucking life,
Yes.
is it a switch that we just turn on, or is it a process of steps and strides intermingled with setbacks, mistakes? What is the most successful way that you've seen or helped clients go to stepping out of those shadows and out of some of that shame and into their big out loud life? And what should they expect as they sort of start living out loud?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's it can look so many different ways, right? Depending on the person. And so it's like it could be all of that and it could be none of that. And so that's the first thing that you just have to be open to the process. It's like when you think about it, when you say I'm going to live my fucking life, that is a bold declaration. So when you are pronouncing you're in this bold energy, you're going to have to expect any and everything to happen. Okay?
Mhm.
You got to be ready for that because you can't just declare something like that and not be tested.
Mhm.
Let's just call it what it is. And so I really started this movement. It started with my self-love journal. And so that's really what it is. It's a guided self-love journal. It's a year-long journal, 52 weeks, although some women do it in less than 52 weeks. But the goal was to take you week by week into the steps that you need to do to live your life, right? On your terms, in your way, no matter what anybody else says or thinks about you. That's the goal. And what I was finding is women were doing it, but it was better when they were doing it in community and having that. And so now, then I started having a brunch. So I'll be having my second brunch soon. And also starting, I'm looking into some other things to start to support, and maybe having like work groups or something like that
Yes.
around the journal so that we're doing the work together. And I have some other things coming up next year here in the DC area as well. And it's really about I want this for myself. You want this for yourself. It's going to look different for me, right? Going back to that soulful self-care. It's going to look different for me than it is for you, but we're all going to support each other in this journey, right? Because I know that it is a journey. It is a journey. And there are going to be times where you excel. You know, something will happen, like you said, you're loud and you're proud and you're out there, and somebody says something to you. And you know what? It doesn't even faze me. There'll be times where you like, oh, I slayed that. And there's other times where you break down and cry, oh my God, what's wrong with me? What's going on? It's going to happen. That's all a part of the process. It's all a part of the journey. And if you just understand that, you have that mindset that I'm proclaiming this for my life. This is what I want. This is what I need. This is what I desire. And I'm just going to get the help that I need to make sure that I stay on course. Because sometimes it is easier to shrink. It is easier not to rock the boat. It is easier to do the things that people tell you to do. When you proclaim, this is my life and I'm living it on my terms, you are going to be tested.
Yes. Yes. One of my mantras for this year, because I tend to be even though I'm extroverted and I'm really bubbly around people, when the attention's not on me, I can be very shy, which is not great if you're an entrepreneur, right? You have to be able to put yourself out and speak clearly and
Yeah.
sound confident. So this year, my mantra, every year it's something. So last year was receive. I had to learn after some,
Mm,
really tough time, near death, those kinds of things, that I had to learn to receive good. And this year it was be seen. And as I'm being seen,
yes.
there's opinions, right? And some are,
Yes.
and I was like, oh yeah, I asked for this. It didn't mean that I can control what people see, when they see it. But the beauty part of it, though, is by putting myself out there, is the community and the amount of new supportive and beautiful people and opportunities. So it's sort of been this mixed bag of, Glennon Doyle calls it brutal, right? So there's brutal but beautiful together. And it's like there's the
Mm,
test. And also I can see how much we attract to ourselves what we need, what we want, and people that inspire us and people that are there for us and other experiences that we get to be exposed to. It's worth it. It's worth it to have
absolutely worth it.
it's so worth it in the end, which is
I mean, there's no greater freedom. So many people like, I want to be free, but do you understand what it takes to claim that freedom?
yes.
Like freedom takes work. You don't just say I want to be free and you're free. Like it does take that it takes some shifts, but it is nothing greater than that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and you're right. Yeah, if you say you want to be seen, you're going to be seen.
See,
And so there are times I'm online and I am very much out there and people don't agree with me and I have to not care.
yes. Yes.
Not
Or
care. Like, okay,
yes.
you can have your
Yes.
opinion.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
wonderful. And I have
Yes.
mine. And mine is the only one that matters.
Yes. 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 And yeah, there's a little bit online right now that people could just for sure. So you live in Washington, so you get it. We get it here too in Canada. Same thing. I I I love that. I love that your message is like it's hard work. There's these things that come with it that you have to be aware of, but you're so bright and calm. Like it's like this bold softness. I really, really enjoy that about you.
Thank
And
you.
that's what people need, right? Like it's not about tough love, it's about
Yeah.
strong love. And like love means also standing up for the things that are important to you. It's not just being amicable, right? It's about
Yeah.
standing in that truth and strength. What are, now that you've been in this journey for quite a while, what what do you experience now at this stage in your journey? What are still some of the things that you work through at this stage, if I can ask?
What's so interesting about the healing process, and we talk about this a lot because a lot of times when I'm working with people, this is not their first rodeo, right? When they're coming to me, they have done something, worked with somebody, maybe therapy over here, all of these things, and they still are kind of in a tailspin of feeling like I've done this healing work, but I'm still not where I want to be, right? Or I'm still feeling like I'm not getting the support that I need. And one of the things that I always have to remind my clients is that healing really is a continuous journey. You
Mhm.
know, even the clients that I work with, whatever the initial thing was that they came to me that we decided we are going to work on, we get there, we uncover some other things, and then we start to work on that. And so it's the same thing for me. I'm human. I practice what I preach, but I am human. Therefore, I go through everything that you all go through. The only difference is that I learned a long time ago that when things happen, answer it, address it immediately, because otherwise I will suffer. And I don't like suffering. So that's the only difference. So I have the tools and I use them immediately because I am over suffering.
Yeah.
Um, and so really what it is just like you said, okay, I want to be seen, right? I'm a speaker. I have to woman up. And I have to practice my tools and I have to say, okay, Avalaura, this is what's going to happen. You're going into this particular environment. I have to, meditate on that. I have to mentally prepare myself. I have to calm myself down. I have to visualize what it is that I want. I have to visualize what if what I want doesn't happen, and trust myself to whatever happens to be able to deal with it, and it's going to be the best experience for me. and
Mhm.
and so for me in this environment, it's not everything going right, but it's trusting myself when it goes wrong and
Yes.
pulling on into my intuition and my tools to know what to do.
I love that. Yes. It's not that we're magically enlightened and life goes perfect, which we've already said.
I wish. I
It's
wish.
about, yeah, it's about being able to handle what life throws because we're not always responsible for what comes our way. We're just responsible for how we're going to handle it going forward. So I love that.
And
And
I've
that,
had moments when I look back and I'm like, dang it, I ruined that opportunity. I could have done this. But the next time you won't catch me slipping.
yeah.
That's
Or
it.
when you get further
Yay.
down, you're like, thank goodness I messed that up because if I
Yes,
had
it
done
brought
it,
me
yeah,
here.
yes, yeah, yep, that happens too. It's kind of nice to know that it's going to work out. It's all going to work out the way it's
Always,
always.
always. I trust the journey at this point. I trust myself. I trust the journey.
Yes, 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 me too. How could what kind of services can people come find you for? How do they work with you? What sort of things do you offer the world?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. What do you offer the world?
You
Uh, like me,
can use
I
that.
offer,
You use that.
you can find me online at avalaura.com, Avalaura. I am literally everywhere. Like I say, I'm Googleicious and I'm the only Avalaura. So,
Yeah, I'm
it's
gonna say that
me.
one.
It's me.
Hmm.
And that's probably the best way to go to my hub, go to my website. You can find me all over social media, YouTube, TikTok, IG, Facebook, whatever else is out there. I'm on it. Um, get my journal, so I have different ways of working with me right now. Like for people who are like, I don't know if I'm ready for a coach, get Girl Live Your Effing Life, right? Get that, start that. It's DIY, it's your process, it's your journey. You can take it however you want. If you're ready for more coaching right now, I'm not doing any group coaching right now, although, when you contact me, there might be. So depending on when you contact me, there's different ways of
Mhm.
working together. Right now, I'm doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, also retreats.
Yeah.
Still do Reiki training. I have a Reiki retreat in Morocco coming up. Like I said, I'm doing more live events now, a lot of speaking engagements, a lot of brunches, girl, live your effing life brunches. So there's so many different ways. I think the best thing is just to connect. Get on my mailing list, follow me. If you feel so inclined, if something resonates with you, reach out, say something. I actually really do talk to people. People are weird. They're like, oh, I didn't know if you would speak to me. I'm human. I speak. I'm a business owner. I can't not speak to people. You know what I mean? Like it's so weird, but I do, like, people DM me all the time. I do respond. But just connect in the way that you see fit. Like, trust your intuition. If you feel that calling, act on it. Don't sit on it. Don't be one of those people who contacted me 2, 3 years after they came in contact with me and they're like, I'm finally getting the courage. I'm finally ready. No, do it now. If this
Yes.
resonates with you, contact me now.
Perfect. I love that. And if you could share with people one thing that you most wanted them to know, what would it
About
be?
anything?
Yeah, about themselves, about anything. Yep.
I think that, God, there's so many things. But the thing that I would say that I want people really to know is that this is your journey, right? This is your journey. Your life is your life. As I say, the first word in self-care is self. It really is all about you. And the most important thing is getting yourself together,
Mhm.
being happy with yourself, loving yourself, your power, your purpose, everything important to you emanates from there. Your relationships, the career that you want, the body that you want, the family that you want. Everything that you want starts with you working on yourself and being happy with yourself. Most of the people that I work with, they have created an amazing life, we would think, but they don't love their lives because it's not representative of who they are and what they really want. So now their life is based on a lie.
Yeah.
And all of this work that they did, now we have to kind of dismantle and recreate it, something that is in alignment with who they are. So you can cut all of that out if you work on yourself first and then create your life from there.
Yes.
Listen,
Very.
that is the cheat code, okay?
Yes. It's amazing how disconnected we are from ourselves. It's funny. I have a doctor. She always jokes, but because I have an autoimmune, so I was in healthcare quite
Mhm.
regularly. But she I used to say things like, "It hurts when I do this," and she'd be like, "Well, don't do that then." Like, and same thing, when you go for physio or something, like, should I put ice or cold, or like what feels good? I'm like, it's that
What
simple. They're
feels good
like,
to
yeah,
you?
your body knows. You know more than you
Yes,
believe you do. So even
yes.
with the soul work and our intuition, all of those are real messages that our bodies and brains and spirits are giving us. And we should validate them more and take the chance to just listen to them and act accordingly, right?
That's it. That's it. And the more you do it, the stronger you become. It's a muscle, right? Your
Yeah.
intuition is a muscle. So the more you listen to your intuition, the more your intuition speaks to you.
Yes.
And the louder it speaks to you, so the easier it is to listen and to follow. But if your intuition is speaking to you and you keep denying it and rejecting it and suppressing it, eventually you like, forget it. Never mind. You're not listening anyway. Just go ahead on and do what you want to do.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what you said about suffering. You're not into suffering. It's not that things
I'm
are
over it.
challenging. It's not that there is no struggle. There is, but some of the suffering and the real struggle comes from those
Fighting
denial
yourself.
pieces, right? Yeah.
Yep. It's fighting yourself. So I refuse. I'm not fighting myself anymore.
Yes. 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 It's so much easier to say yes. Yes.
That's
Awesome.
what you say. When you know better, you do better. I
Yeah.
know better.
Yes, we're always a work in progress. Always. There will always be things. I really appreciate your time and thank you so much for being on the show. Are there any last words you would like to leave the audience with?
I mean, I think I have left them with plenty. If you need to go back and watch this again, but really what I want you to do is make sure whatever resonated with you, act on it. Do something. Don't just watch this and say, oh my God, yes, girl, yes, oh my God, that was so good. And then you just go on about your day and do nothing. Right?
Yes.
Make sure you I don't care if it's one thing, and implement it. Take action on it. Don't let this be in vain. Let this conversation serve you.
Yes. That's when it becomes life-changing.
Absolutely.